This is Rob Liefeld. Kai Review is going down.
Hey guys, just finished watching Krypton, Season 2, Episode 3, Will to Power. Really interesting episode, very much of a, Green Lantern theme in this episode, especially with that title and stuff, so it definitely is interesting, like having that kind of, I guess, that tease just in the title, which is kind of interesting. I mean, I guess, would be cool to see with that title to see something like a Green Lantern eventually show up on this show. I think it could be something quite fun. Maybe seeing someone like Adam Sur or type like that. The predecessor to Hal Jordan, or even seeing someone like Alan Scott, the original Green Lantern, would be something pretty cool to see if that's kind of going on. And like I said, like with different stuff going on with Adam Strange here, it would be kind of interesting to get an idea as to kind of what time is going on, like what year is it for this show? Is it are we like in 2000, the 2000s on Earth right now, or is it what current year on Earth is it? Is it 2000? Is it 1940s, something like that? Which would be kind of interesting to get an idea as to kind of what are the superheroes that could be out there on Earth that could potentially, come over. Obviously only certain characters could come over, but, if it's a 1940s type thing, you might have the characters like Green Lantern, Alan Scott, and things like that, which could kind of be cool to see them kind of pop up. But you could also about other characters like, we have Adam Strange, but we could also get Booster Gold at some point. That could be something cool to see at some point in this show. But I think we'll have to wait and see as to where things go for that. But getting into this episode was kind of interesting. It was really, no Doomsday or anything like that. Kind of disappointing. Looking for some Doomsday. We got some teases for him back in episode 2. But it'll be interesting to see as to where things go. And it didn't look like there'd be any tease for him in the next episode. But the way things kind of end with, Segel and Adam Strange arriving back on Krypton, and they have to kind of walk all the way to Kandor, it would make sense that they might, somewhat discover something about Doomsday. Whether or not they meet him is another scenario, but more likely I'd see them, finding footprints that like match Doomsday, or finding destruction, or even finding that ship that the Doomsday had destroyed in the the last episode. So that could be something cool to see where things could go with that. So we start off this episode, we see that Segel has access to Brainiac's memory. Brainiac's mind is able to kind of use that to be able to try and stop him. We see that Dev M wants nothing to do with Jaina Zod until the end of the episode, when she ends up kind of saving his life, type thing. I guess he's kind of given up, just living out in the wastelands type thing, so that's kind of interesting there to see where their relationship goes. We see that Val plans to attack the elevator and stuff, so he could stop General Zod from being able to send as many troops as he wants all the way up the elevator, and taking over the elevator chamber and stuff. So that could be something interesting to see as to where things go with that. In the next episode, we see that Seg connects to the machine that created Brainiac and stuff. And that's when Lobo shows up and he tries to break into that room, but there's like this force field barrier and his arm gets chopped off. But then he kills himself so that he can regenerate from the arm inside the prison there. So that was a really interesting idea and a really cool way to play with Lobo and stuff. And some cool banter between Lobo and Strange, as Lobo slowly regenerating. That was really kind of interesting dealing with that. So I guess he has some sort of kind of control over, his regeneration, type thing, which is kind of an interesting concept to playing with that. That could be really cool playing with that. And then we see that Nyssa, she throughout this episode, was giving information, and then she was talking to Val-El, and he kind of took her guard away. She went and she hooked up with Aram, I think is her name. I guess we found out it's an old flame of hers, and they end up hooking up so that she can steal some information from her. Unclear as to what exactly information she stole from her, whether or not this is her own dealing, or whether or not this is stealing information for I assume it's stealing information for General Zod, because he has her son type thing, and he has Corvex, which we didn't see him in at all in this episode, but we really don't need to. So, but I think it'll be interesting to see as to kind of where things go with this, especially with her kind of, it seems like she's telling everyone straight up, telling Val, yeah, I'm working for the other one, he wants me to be his spy. She says all the things that General Zod wants to say, but also says that General Zod sent me here to get information type thing. So I think that's kind of interesting, playing with that, to knowing as to, it's unclear as to kind of how much is to kind of the script that she's just doing this to following every instruction that General Zod is giving her in order to save Korvax, right? So I think it could be something fun to play with that, and it's going to be interesting to see as to where things kind of go with that relationship, and who does she ally with, and how is she kind of, trying to work on both sides type thing. Could be something fun to do, or she kind of just blindly, he has Korvax, I'm going to do everything he says to the T no matter what, because he's Korvax, end of story type thing. So that'd be cool to see as to where things go with that. And then we have, throughout this episode, we have like the Fortress of Solitude inside of Brainiac's head, or Brainiac and Seg's head. I guess it's from Seg's head, and it has a bit of a green hue to it. Like all the lights in there are kind of greenish hue to it, where it usually has a bluish hue. And I think that's kind of interesting for inside of his head. It's probably just green for Brainiac or green for like Kryptonite. But I think it's kind of, with the title being Will to Power, to me, it also seems like it could be green for willpower, right? Him trying to fight back. And I think that could be something interesting playing with that. And like I said, teasing some sort of a Green Lantern eventually showing up on this show could be quite cool. Even if we get like a no-name Green Lantern, they just create a character, and it just happens to be an old Green Lantern, right? It could be something cool. But I think it could be something fun to play with, to see a Green Lantern. I'd love to see them bring, maybe even bring in, I don't know how they could do it on this show, but bring in like the little squirrel Green Lantern. I think that would be a way to kind of do it and not have an overpowered Green Lantern. I don't know. I think it'd be some kind of fun just to see a Green Lantern at some point in this show type thing. Just, there has to be one who's kind of, guarding this sector, right? I think it'd be something kind of fun to hear about, or just getting a tease about this stuff. And at what point does would a Green Lantern not want to kind of get involved, right? They're trying to stop this stuff and they protect their sector, right? So I think that could be something interesting to dealing with that. And I'm not quite sure, but would the Green Lantern who protects Earth with their sector also cover Krypton? Aren't Earth and Krypton close enough that they'd be in the same sector as, for Hal Jordan or Alan Scott, whoever's the current, Guardian or Green Lantern of that sector type thing? Could be something fun to play with. So we end this episode with Seg ends up shooting out Brainiac, and kind of his plan works, and they end up making it back to Krypton, where Lobo is left with Brainiac there. So that'll be cool to see as to where things go with that in the next episode. And like I said, with them trying to having to travel to Kandor, and they're far away from it, right? Maybe they can encounter Doomsday. Obviously, I don't think they'll actually encounter him. I think they could probably find destruction left by him. Find giant footprints of his, things like that, kind of teasing, showing destruction that he's been doing, what Doomsday's been doing, and finding the aftermath of that. Could be something fun to deal with, because if they were to just find Doomsday at this point, just the two of them, they'd just be screwed. Doomsday would just kill them, right? So I feel like it'd be a very difficult way for them to, find Doomsday. Now, they could also find Doomsday like when they get real close to Kandor, and they accidentally lead Doomsday to Kandor. That could be something interesting, but I feel like episode 4 is a little bit too early on in this season to deal with that, because how many episodes do we have? We have 10 episodes. Yeah, it looks like 10 episodes here on IMDb. So, yeah, episode 5, episode 4... could it be a bit early to have something like Doomsday attacking the city? I think it's a bit early for something like that in this season, but we'll have to wait and see as to where things kind of could go with that. So let me know what you think, guys, about this episode in the comments below, about season 2, episode 3, Will Peril, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.
We're here for Kyle Reviewed on YouTube, the very best Kyle Reviewed channel on all the YouTube Kyle Reviewed channels. You got that? You got that right? Thank you for watching Kyle Reviewed. Deadpool and I thought it was fantastic. You need to like, you need to subscribe. You know how it's done. Like, subscribe. Right, DP? All right, Kyle Reviewed. Cool channel.